It's so crazy because, like, just before she even, um, like, while I was watching this video, I actually, like, was the whole time thinking, oh, I'm going to make this video talking, this, a reaction video to this. And then, after the video at the end where she says, she invites us to do a review. And I was like, hell, that is like the biggest sign and resolve from the universe, from the infinite creator, that this should be done. And also it has been done, and that it is confirmation that it's part of the divine plan. So I encourage you to review this yourself. You don't have to put it up on the internet, but that would be nice because then we can be part of creating this new social memory complex, creating it from all these different stories of different souls, and just celebrating it. So, yeah, thank you. I receive.
Yeah. So these are, this is really about star seeds. And star seeds generally are souls that are not from here. They are from other galaxies, star systems, or planets who have decided to incarnate here for to help the development of humankind, to raise the vibration of Earth, essentially. There's common traits around starseeds in general, and then there's more individual traits amongst these. Now, it's rare that someone is just one in particular. We are a mix because we're such travelers. But having said that, we tend to have certain traits that really speak to us a little bit more. And so we can start to say, like, yeah, I'm a little bit more this, and I get this all the time on TikTok. Is like, oh my god, I totally relate to this. And I'll be talking about whatever it was, but I also relate to that other one. They're confused, and I'm saying you could be both. It's just in what regard. So these are just generalities, but this is about star seeds.
I love that. So would the term for them be starseed families, starseed systems? What would we call these?
Yeah, so when you talk about the starseed families, and so talking about whether it's Pleidian or whatever it is, we're talking about the families. Now, not all starseeds come from star systems. Some will come from planets. Some don't have a home anymore, or never really had one to begin with. So it's not necessary that every single starseed has a home. They generally do, but not always. But it is. We talk about soul families or soul lineage.
Beautiful.
Lineage, yeah.
So let's get into the one that's the most common here on Earth, the Pleidians. Can you share a little bit? How do we know if we are a Pleidian?
Yeah, Pleidians and Sirians are the 1-2 punch of how many are down here. Pleidians are, the way I see it, like it's about the heart. It's all about the heart chakra. Like it's their, they are.
And in my opinion, we are all of the star seeds. All of us are one complete collection of stars. And it's just a beautiful realization. The sound outside, I hope. It's such a wonderful realization and empowering as well, to come to the full circle of understanding our and your, each of ours higher selves. And yeah, so I found it interesting how, while listening to this podcast, and I'm glad, he actually starts with the Pleiadians, because I feel like in this space time, no, in this, Because I feel like in this time space, in this timeline, I am currently called to embrace my Pleiadian ancestry, my Pleiadian higher self, right? And I feel like for each and every one of us at any point in our lives, any period of our lives, we can choose to acknowledge and also embrace, even in retrospection and reflection of the past. I bet you, if you contemplate your past, and you will realize that all of these singular qualities have existed within you. The light and shadow aspects of these qualities and characteristics exist within us all the time. It's just a matter of how we choose to consciously manifest each and every one of them. And that's that's such a it's yeah, I mean, just contemplate it for yourself and use your own discernment. And we, you and I, as the one infinite creator, will come to fully understand our divinity and fully understand our light and shadow, and finally fully embody our highest self, the one infinite creator.
So Pleiadians come from Pleiades, which is in Orion, in the Taurus, the hunter system. And so Pleiadians they tap more into the feminine energy. A lot of them do. Some of them are more masculine or balanced masculine, feminine. But Pleiadians are their whole gig, their whole jam is turning chaos into order.
I must say, when he said turning chaos into order, literally before he even said that out of his mouth, that's exactly what my heart space anticipated him saying. Because this, like a period in my life where I was, really anchoring my art practice. I was very much interested in the dichotomy between order and chaos, and investigating through science to understand how to turn chaos into order, because my internal self had previously struggled a lot with the chaos that I perceived my mind to be, the chaos that I perceived the outside manifested world to be. And I mean, at the beginning of that journey, I don't think I had necessarily intent on turning chaos into order, but I was trying to understand the value of chaos, right? The value of this duality that we find ourselves in, right? And it was hard at first because for me, like, something within my higher self, I suppose, had some trouble with like the necessity of chaos to exist, because as a hard individual, the chaos didn't make sense because it's like we have so much love to choose. Then how is there a need for chaos for the love? Like it doesn't make sense. There's some, looking every now and then, looking through some journals that I've had, like finding some written stuff about how, like I found it really hard to understand duality and its necessity and why things have to be that way. Because deep down, I believe that it shouldn't be that way, but I couldn't, like I couldn't validate any of it because, like, in my third dimension or in my outer space, I was seemingly experiencing the distortion of chaos, right? So I find it so now, just makes sense why my mission has been to transmute chaos into order. Because deep down, my higher self, our higher selves, knows that there needs to be a centered source, a full whole source. The like the duality, the time for the duality has passed, and we need to now our mission perhaps is to transmute the chaos into order, and like not only from within, but to finally see it manifest outside, right?
Chaos into calm. It's kind of like transmuting that energy. And so they're here, all star seeds, they have kind of like the collective mission, and then they have like the personal mission. And so they're all very similar. A lot of it, like, you can always come down to raising the vibration of us around. But for them, they also, it's about really opening our hearts, opening our heart, our chakras, our heart chakras, and really coming from the place of love. So they teach us to come from the place of love. They are now, they can be perfectionists. They can be, they struggle with things like violence and any sort of thing, like, because again, it's all here, and they don't enjoy that kind of energy. Sometimes they may feel like getting sick. Right?
Ooh, another thing, when he says that also resonates so completely, because like, although at some points of my life, I did, like embody violence in, I suppose it was an attempt of like turning the chaotic vibration that violence is, transmuting that into coming from a place of love. And maybe one day I will talk about how that was. Actually, let me just do it. If you know the film Fight Club, for me, I think that represented my phase of like trying to understand violence. And I think the film perfectly describes that, like how, using violence as like as an alchemical tool to release, the chaos, but in a loving way, because everyone within Fight Club was doing it out of love, like helping each other to release the angst that is within, the chaos that is within. And I think that is so beautiful, actually. So yeah, my then partner and I would have our own, like, like every now and then when the feeling arrives, we like want to fight. And it was in a love, obviously we, we didn't hurt each other, but like and it helped me understand my aversion to play fighting, and I guess kind of come to an understanding, you know, a softer understanding coming from love of why kids, you know, especially boy kids, would be encouraged to engage in play fighting. I suppose it probably had something to do with that.
They are they like many star seeds. They're very much into nature, animals. They're very empathetic. They are often water signs, so that fluid kind of sense of emotion. So a lot of star sign, or just as Pisces, Scorpio, and oh my God, how did I miss that last one? It'll come to me. They tend to have closed throat chakra, so they have a hard time sometimes communicating, and they can be people pleasers.
About what he said about having struggling with speaking as communication. Oh, when I was younger, and you know, like that was a really a huge struggle that I am happy to say I've come to. I mean, I still, it's a journey, right? And we're all on this journey together. So like there is a point in a time space where that part of ourselves will be healed and we would not need to use it, I believe. So I found that because the Pleidians communicate in telepathy, that is why when we come here on Earth, one of our biggest struggles is to use our voice to express ourselves. And for me, it started from, you know, not being able to communicate the universe that is within to the outside world, many years, and then once able to do that, then dealing with insecurities about what that voice sounds like, because especially when it's recorded and hearing it back to yourself, that has been the, you know, the previous struggle that I'm finally getting used to. I mean, I started at a point where while editing the videos that I make, I would try as hard as I could to not listen to my voice, to like either turn the volume down or, and then I went, or distort the voice. So that could be in like changing, you know, the voice effect or speeding up because I felt like I speak way too slow. It just, you know, and it's so funny to it realize that now, like why it's that, and it feels amazing, and I feel proud of myself to now actually be able to not only listen to it, like post videos that I have not altered my voice in any way. And even if I might choose to speed up the video, it might just be because of like just pragmatic reasons of like file size, because the longer the video, the bigger the file, and then the harder it is to upload. So it's not at all coming from a place of insecurity.
The thing with Pleiadians too is that they are used to having sort of like, if you, some people believe it or not, like the twin flame idea. And so they come from a place where they feel like there's someone that's down here for them that they connect. And so they struggle down here in terms of not having that. And so when they come down here, there's they really struggle. There's two starseeds that really struggle with personal relationships, like romantic relationships, and Pleiadians are one of them. And so they can get into abusive and manipulative type of relationships. They struggle to to put their to voice themselves, right? Which is why the throat chakra is closed. Is they have a hard time communicating what their needs are. They're fixers. They want to fix things. And so when they get into those situations where they're with someone who can be abusive, it's like this perfect storm. And so what's important for Pleiadians to understand is that they have self-worth. That's part of their journey, is to understand that they're worthy of what this earth, that we're here for a reason, to do that. And because they're so sensitive, their job is to move through that, to be of service to others, but also to fortify their own spirit, to fortify their own soul.
When I was younger, and perhaps mostly so with my first relationship, there was a strong feeling of like, oh my God, I found my soulmate. I didn't know about twin flame, but yeah, I found my soulmate and they're here to save me. And it even manifested in our, third density reality as them, he and I meeting for the first time in person after communicating telepathically online, meeting in person while I was in a psych clinic recovering from my mental breakdown, the first. And another fascinating thing is that recently, after my last mental breakdown, and I was after my last suicide attempt, and I was in hospital in recovery. I think that's when I started experiencing the karmic cycle, in a sense, because like, again, another person came into my life, but like something that I thought of at that time was that, oh, but this time it's not like, okay, it's weird that I'm meeting this person the same way again after, I don't know, maybe 19 years of the first instance happening. But this time I wasn't feeling like it's a savior thing. To be honest, I really just wanted to have sex. And this was the one person who, in my life, my internet life maybe, I trusted with myself, I guess. And, we met, he came to visit me at the hospital. We met for the first time, and it was a really strong, magical experience. Didn't last long, maybe like a month or something. And yeah, so as soon as, it clicked within my higher self that, oh, this is that cycle happening again. But because right now I am coming from a place of self-love and strength, it was easier to let go of that connection as soon as it revealed itself to not be on the same vibration as I was. And like, I mean, and the type of abuse or manipulation that he speaks of, I would say I didn't experience that as intensely as most of us do. And I say us because you are I, and we are the one infinite creator. It wasn't to that extreme, but at the same, and it was also importantly coming from both sides, especially in the first cycle. And like, and that was important for me in the process of healing the first cycle of that happening, me finally coming to a point of understanding and empathy for myself, for being part of the dysfunction of the relationship, instead of me only understanding it as like the dysfunction coming from the other side, right? From outside, that feeling of being used, or, because that is not that is one of those huge love lessons that we need to learn, that you know we are all in this together. We are all part of, the same one existence that is infinite. And not to say to blame ourselves, but more so to empathize with parts of ourselves that distort love, or distort our experience, our conscious experience, into that of pain and fear. Yeah, that's all we need to do, to empathize with the other, empathize with the self, and empathize with the one infinite creator.
And so, because they're so plentiful, right? Because it's a nearby star system. That's where this opening up has been happening in terms of love-based decision making, right? And we're moving, even though right now we may feel like there's a lot of fear-based. There's a reason why there's so many here now coming from love. We need more love-based decision making to counter what's kind of been going on lately. And so that's essentially Pleiadians. I mean, you can get into some of the technical things, but they are highly empathetic. They're soft-spoken and tend to be polite. But again, we're just generalizing. You can have a fierce Pleiadian who just lives and just takes life by the guts, but still come from that heart-centered place.
I love how he mentions that, because in the process of realizing my worth, and really falling in love with myself and my God self, my higher self, I did, embody and feel that spirit of strength, and even like a lot of people from the outside tend to assume that of me, even though from within I moved from a place of gentleness and calm and softness. It's interesting how that fierceness translates outside. It's like a gentle fierceness.
Is Oprah a Pleiadian?
Oh, good question.
Some of the things you've mentioned, I'm like, I feel like that's like Oprah, because I see it like in doshas, so I see it as a kapha kind of energy.
Yeah, I mean, I just had goosebumps when you asked me that. But you know what? When the fact that you just said that, and I think about her story, and just like the chaos she had growing up, right? And turning that, and also showing with such a big platform, obviously. Oh man, I still have the goosebumps. Ooh, that means a truth just hit us. I would bet my bottom dollar that if she isn't, she's got a lot of that in it, because talk about just coming from the place of love.
Yeah.
And just being and it being a quiet force, right? Doesn't mean that being quiet and polite and all that doesn't mean
she's
that
still
we
big.
lay down.
Yeah.
For me?
She's still very big, but it's through her ability to sit and listen.
Yeah. So that's a good observation. A great observation. I would bet that if she's not that, there's a lot of that in her. And so she's a beacon of this love-based way of showing others how to be love-based.
I find it interesting because I also felt goosebumps when he said that, because I've always felt very strongly resonant with Oprah's spirit, and I must admit, I never resolved it in my head as that's why the reason why her spirit resonated with me because, I mean, when I think about it, in my childhood, I also went through, a rape incident and all these hardships. And I mean, at a less evolved time of my life, I didn't, I hadn't fully come to a resolve or come to the transmutation of all of that chaos as and turning that into transmuting that into a strength. So as much as I resonated with Oprah, I still felt like, but I haven't overcome my own distortion of self-esteem to come to a point where I can even see myself being a platform or a light for change on a global scale, like Oprah. Even though my deeper self believe that that is what I'm meant to do. I mean, even now, I would be honored to be interviewed by Oprah. So, Oprah, if you're watching this, I would love to. But in any case, I'm sure it has happened in this time space, and so it has happened. So yeah, but like I said, like whether or not Oprah is a starseed, my biggest take from all of this is that we all are all of the star seeds. We all are all of the universe. We all are everything that exists and everything that will ever exist, everything that has ever existed. We are the totality of all of existence. And right now we are on this journey of remembering and embracing and acknowledging and moving forward from a place of strength in knowing that we are all parts of the one infinite creator. Yeah.